1971 to 1974. Strat-O-Matic Excel Carryover League. Brought to you by the Shrimp Trawler.
AL Divisional, A's at Orioles. Welcome back, baseball fans. 1971-74 Carryover League Divisional Playoff Series. We saved the best for last in the divisional round. The Oakland A's and the Baltimore Orioles. No, this is not the League Championship Series. This is the last matchup in the divisional round. Let's take a quick peek at what has transpired in the divisional round. We have three teams making plans. In the National League, the Phillies, the number 5 seed, stunned the baseball community by beating the Braves 4-2. They are a number 5 seed. They will visit the Pirates, the traditional MLB world champion of 1971, but a team that had basically a .500 record at the All-Star break, and then they got hot, and that's where they're at. The number 3 seed Pirates. Actually, the Phillies are a couple games better overall in the standings, but that doesn't, come through in the overall seeding here. There you go. There's your Phillies. Even by beating the Braves, they really closed it to a half a game, if you're keeping track of the overall standings. But the Pirates, they beat the Cubs in the wild card round, and they beat the Giants in the divisional round. And we have the Oakland A's, who fought a valiant Toronto Blue Jay team who came out of nowhere to get into the playoffs when they didn't even play baseball in this timeline. And it was a struggle. The A's beat them 3-2. They're 27-18, playing .600 ball. Baltimore's 22-13, playing .629 ball. The number 2 seed Orioles had the wild card round off. So with the extra time off, let's look at the rotations. Baltimore can immediately go to their number 1 guy, Jim Palmer. Palmer, Cuellar, McNally, Milt Pappas in Game 4, and then Palmer a day off, and then Cuellar, McNally. Oakland, Vida Blue had to pitch in Game 5 against Toronto. So they get a day off, and then they have to go Catfish Hunter, Kenny Holtzman, and then Blue can come back on 3 days rest in Game 3. Lynn McLaughlin in 4, back to Hunter, and then they can go back to Vida Blue in Game 6, and Kenny Holtzman in Game 7. Those are the matchups. Let's just get right into this. We'll take a look at the cards. Catfish Hunter and Jim Palmer. I think they both won Cy Youngs in this timeline. A 21-game winner for Hunter with a 2.04 ERA. And arguably his best year in this timeline is 72. Jim Palmer, he got a Cy Young in 73. 22 wins, 2.40 ERA. Arguably his best year is 73. But really, these guys are always at the top of their game. Jim Hunter, Jim Catfish Hunter, Jim Palmer. Does it get any better than this? A long time ago, Oakland and Baltimore met in this similar mixed league timeline, and Jim Palmer threw a no-hitter against the Oakland A's. But that was a long time ago. So it'd be kind of fun to do it again, I guess, just to repeat history. Leading off, it is Bert Campaneris. 3-6, homer, 1-2, fly ball the rest, and that's a fly ball. Mike Hegan, 1-8 is a K. Joe Rudy, 43. Pitcher X, Palmer, it's an E9. He makes the play. Bottom of 1, it's Don Buford. 66, he reaches off of Hunter, double 1-2-4, gets a base hit. B. Steeler. Catcher's arms today. You have Gene Tennis with a 0 arm. You've got Earl Williams with a +1 arm. We could see some base stealing done. For now, he'll stay put at first. It'll be Brooks Robinson. 2-5 for Brooksy. Oh boy, that is a 4-6-3 double play. And with 2 outs, Al Bumbry grounds the first. Top of 2. Reggie Jackson, 67, pops the second. Sal Bando, 2-8, grounds to short. Tom Haller, 35, grounds a second. Going to keep up this breakneck speed as long as these guys are dealing zeros. Earl Williams, 2-4, grounds the third. Boog Powell, 35, and let's take a look finally at a card. Boog Powell, 1971, he still had 22 homers. He had the MVP in 70, then after that he starts to tail off, but he's still decent at first base defensively. He hits about 20 some odd homers. Batting average starts to dwindle. 3-5 is homer 1 to 12. It's not gone over the wall. It's going to be a 2-base hit. So misses the homer there. Now you got to bring this guy home. Bobby Grich. 2-9. Let's take a look at Grich. He will bring him home. Another homer chance for the 1973-74 Bobby Grich, a Gold Glove winning 19 homer, 90 walk second baseman who hadn't gotten the All-Star game yet. Gets there in 76. 2-9, homer 1 to 5. It is a double, and the Birds are on the board. Paul Blair, 1-4, grounds 2, third, and with 2 outs, it's Tom Chopay getting a start today as a lefty against the dominant Hunter against righties. Doesn't matter, he strikes out. Top of the third, Gene Tennis, 56, and there they get a hit off of Palmer's card. Double 1 to 6, base hit for Gene Tennis. Waddell Washington, 59, second C. Dick Green, 2-9, pops out. And Campaneris, 2-8, he is a base hit into right field. Tennis will not make the third out at the third base with 2 outs and 2 on. Mike Hegan, 65, flies to center field. Palmer gets out of it. Bottom of the third, it's Frank Duffy, 59, second. Don Buford, 2-9, is a base hit for the Bee Stealer again. He's been 2 for 2. He is going to let Brooksy hit away. 1-7 Brooksy, single chance. It's 1 to 10, and he misses it on a 14. And with 2 outs, they're going to try a stolen base here, and he's in there on a 6. Now you got a runner in scoring position for the dangerous 1973 American League Rookie of the Year, Al Bunbury. 43 off of Catfish, first X. Hegan, a 2E10 first baseman, but it's a single dot. Now we have runners on the corners. Have to hold Bunbury for the slugging Earl Williams. The Orioles picked him up with a 71 card when he still had all those homers with Atlanta, 33 of them. 1-4, misses the column, bounces to short. All right, 1-zip in the fourth. It's Joe Rudy. 1-4 left. Reggie, 2-6, single 1-2. 8 is a line out. And with 2 outs, it's Banda, 1-7, triple 1, base hit. Tom Haller, 4-10, center X. That's Paul Blair, 1 in center field. He makes the grab. Bottom of the fourth, 1-0. Boog Powell, the big double earlier, 48, pops the second. Bobby Grich, the big RBI earlier, 67 is a K. Paul Blair, 4-10, third X. Bando's a 2E22. We'll do the X here, 2E22. He makes the play. Go to the fifth. Gene Tennis, 2-10 left. Claudel Washington, 5-10 is a K. Dick Green, 45, pops to first base, if you're wondering. Catfish Hunter's a starter 8, Jim Palmer's a starter 9. Bottom of the fifth. Let's pause a moment for station identification.
This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel.
Este es el canal de videos de camaroneros.
Bottom of the fifth of a 1-0 affair. Tom Chopay, 56, short X. Campaneris, a 2E27 shortstop. And he boots the ball. Oh boy. Campaneris in the playoffs struggled mightily in the World Series a year ago against the Cincinnati Reds. And he commits an error in his first chance in the divisional round. Number 9 hitter Frank Duffy is an A bunter, and he's going to drop a bunt down in the 5th inning. That's how much respect they have for Catfish Hunter. The bunt's good. They got to try and manufacture a run here. Runner at second for Buford. 1-7 is a K, and with 2 outs is Brooksy. 1-2, Brooksy's hit by the pitch. He leaned in, got one off the elbow there. 2 on, 2 outs, and it's your 337 hitting Al Bunbury. 67 off Catfish Hunter. It's a single chance of 1-2-4, and he can't get it. Rolls a 13. Oh boy, these two guys at the top of their game. Baltimore's put 3 men on base than the A's in a 1-0 affair. Top of the 6th. Third go around for Campaneris. 1-5 center. Hegan, 67, pops to second. Joe Rudy, 1-6. Joe Rudy, this could be gone. It's a homer chance. Homer 1-3, double the rest. It's another double. You're noticing here, nobody's getting anything on the 20-sided. It's all double digits for most of this. So you got a lot of line outs, fly outs, and missed home run opportunities. We've missed 1, 2, 3 of them. Back-to-back doubles, though. Could have been 2 home runs, and Rudy could have had a homer. And here with 2 outs, got to take a look at the card now. At Reggie Jackson, American League Most Valuable Player. He has been carrying Oakland all year when a lot of these players have been playing mediocre or below average baseball. Reggie's been there the whole year. His magnificent MVP card of 73, 32 homers, and a 293 batting average. He comes to the plate with a tie run at second. Here's the pitch to Reggie. 4-10 is center X. That's Paul Blair, though. He is a 1 in center field, and he makes the grab. Jim Palmer. He's given up 4 hits. 4-hit shutout. Bottom of the 6th. Earl Williams. 1-9. Let's take a look at Earl Williams' card. This could be the difference in the series. They got Earl Williams from Atlanta for Davey Johnson for this particular year of 71 with his 33 home runs. After that, Earl's going to start turning into a pumpkin, and that deal is going to look pretty bad because Davey Johnson's going to hit 43 homers all the way through 1973 for the Braves. But Earl Williams here, 1-9 is homer, 1-15, double the rest, and it is gone. And that's the best way to attack Catfish Hunter, via the solo homer. It's very hard to get a rally against Catfish. It's a 1-swing rally, and it's 2-0. Boog Powell. 1-6 is a walk. Bobby Grich. 1-5. Here's another single chance of 1-16. And we finally got one on a 14. Barely, but we got it. Now Catfish. He normally gets out of these. Very seldom gets up the 3-run bomb. 2 on, nobody out. You got Paul Blair's and Abe Bunner. Oh boy. You got Chopay and Duffy. I don't know, Jim Palmer is cruising along. Another run or 2, and this thing might be over. So Blair's going to drop a bunt down with first and second and nobody out. And it's a 7. It's a good bunt. So you got second and third. The A's are going to have to bring the infield up. You got a left-handed bat of Chopay. We need a sac fly here off the pitcher's card, something like that. The pitch to Tom Chopay. 1-7 with the infield up is a strikeout. And with 2 outs, it is Frank Duffy. 37. Let's take a look at the Frank Duffy card, if you're wondering. Cleveland got Mark Belanger in a deal with another team, an expansion team in the offseason. And so Baltimore said, well, if you got our shortstop, we're going to steal yours. So Baltimore is currently possessing Frank Duffy. I'm assuming these 2 players will get traded for each other in another season. But at this particular moment, Frank Duffy, for the first time all year, is going to pay huge dividends to Baltimore. It's a clean single to left field. And it's Bobby Grich, who's at second base after that bunt. He's a 15, 16, 17 against the Rudy arm. Rudy not known for a good arm. And see that? He rolls a 17 and he's safe. My goodness, if Joe Rudy had like a -1 arm, he'd be thrown out the plate. The only thing Rudy could not do in the outfield, dude is a 1E2, but a 0 arm, and in some years he's got a +1 or +2 arm. He just wasn't a great thrower in the outfield. And that just paid off for Baltimore as Duffy converts a 2-run single in what could be game 1. That could be it here. As Catfish Hunter puts 4 men on in this inning. Back up top to Buford. 2-5 homer chance. 1-8. And there it is. It is gone. Don Buford. 2-run bomb off a Catfish Hunter. And yeah, we've got this thing is academic now. Brooks Robinson. 44. Short X. Campaneris. 2E27. Another hit off of Campaneris. An error and a single so far. The Birds bat around. The runner at first, Al Bumbry. 63. This is going to be short X again. And this time it's already set up for Campaneris' defense. He gets the out. 6-0 game. We'll see what Oakland can do in the 7th. Maybe we should give Catfish Hunter some time off. so we can go 8 or 9, 10 innings the next start. Sal Bando in the top of the 7th, 58, short X, and Duffy's still in there, 3-18. They normally pull him for Bobby Wine, and he makes the play. Well, there you go. It's his day. It's Frank Duffy's world. We're living in it. Tom Haller, 63, first X, the Boog, 2E7 first baseman. And Boog makes an error. Palmer, a little smirk on his face there. Gene Tennis, 310 flies to left, and with 2 outs, it is Claudel Washington. 57 flies to right field. Stretch time here in Baltimore. Stretch time music is a new one for you folks. This is the Whatnots, 1971 soul singing group from Baltimore. Put out this record, Reaching for the Stars, as their Orioles certainly are doing that. In 71, a bittersweet year for Baltimore. They would get to the World Series, losing to the Pirates, and the Whatnots were on the radio. There you go, in Baltimore. Bottom of the 7th, Catfish Hunter, you're down 6-0 here. He has put a lot of guys on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In the spirit of the game, we're going to pull him. And let's get some mileage out of some of the other players on this roster for Oakland. We'll go Ron Taylor in the 7th against Earl Williams. 39, flies to left. Boog Powell, been on twice today. Walks, been on 3 times. Bobby Grich, 47's a K. Paul Blair, 39 is a walk. 2 on 2 outs for Chopay. 38, Chopay walks. And the bases are loaded for, listen to this crowd, cheering on Frank Duffy, an outlier. Would have had no impact in that 71 season, but he's made a big impact in our playoffs. The pitch to Frank Duffy. 57 off Ron Taylor, pops to first base. They leave him loaded with walks. Defensively, Bobby Wine will come in to play shortstop for Duffy. Leroy Stanton will play right field. Baltimore improves their defense at shortstop and right field. Palmer needs 6 outs with a 6-run lead. Dick Green, 58, short X. And that's Bobby Wine, a 2E14 shortstop, and he's out. Once they found out they couldn't get Belanger, they found the next closest guy, the 200 hitting Bobby Wine, a 2E14 shortstop. Burt Campaneris having a day in the field. 210 single. Mike Hegan. 1-7K, and with 2 outs, Joe Rudy. 56, that's double 1-6 off Palmer, base hit. Runners in the corners, 2 outs. For Reggie. 55, and Reggie produces double 1, single dot. So it is a 6-1 game, but Palmer's a starter 9. They're going to pull him though, 7 2/3. They have an outstanding bullpen. They're going to go right to Grant Jackson here. In a critical moment with runners in the corners, Grant Jackson, acquired in the Pat Dobson trade. Baltimore sent their 20-game winner, who's missing, you might notice. Those 4 20-game winners of 71 aren't here because they sent Dobson to the Phillies for Grant Jackson here. So it will be Grant Jackson against Sal Bando. My goodness, Grant Jackson was fantastic in 73. 8-0 with a .90 ERA. And the pitch with runners on the corners to Sal Bando. 56 is short X. This is Bobby Wine. He's a 2E14 shortstop, and he makes the play. 6-1. Ron Taylor will continue. Buford. 2-3 first. Brooks Robinson 1-5 single. Bumbry 2-10. That's a 4-6-3 double play. 9th inning, Grant Jackson. It's Tom Haller. Tom Haller will actually, if you go to a righty, they'll just go with Bob Reynolds. Haller will swing away. 5-10, catcher's card. Earl Williams is a 3-9. Makes the play. And now, I think Baltimore's going to take Grant Jackson out just to save his, they got a big, huge lead. We don't need him to tax them for more than an inning. Let's go Bob Reynolds, get the last 2 outs. Keep both pitchers fresh in the 9th inning. Bob Reynolds will come on and face Gene Tennis. 46, that's a base hit. Claudel Washington, 65, center C, and with 2 outs, it's Dick Green. 56 is a K. There it is, game 1. Baltimore took control in the 6th inning and never looked back. That's your final. Baltimore and Jim Palmer beat Catfish Hunter and the Oakland A's 6-1 in game 1. We'll take a break and we'll bring you back to the first deciding game of this best of 7 series. We'll see you soon. Well, baseball fans, here we are. My goodness, this classic baseball. I could play Baltimore-Oakland for days and days and days. Classic baseball. We are getting classic baseball results. First, this is game 1. Here's your box of the game you just saw. Jim Catfish Hunter comes unglued in the 6th inning there, frustratingly, and Baltimore gets a surprising 6-1 win. So we go to game 2 in Baltimore. The A's want a road win here in game 2. They can get it. They got Kenny Holtzman against Joe Horlen. Excuse me. Kenny Holtzman versus Mike Cuellar. And today, Mike Cuellar does not have command. Walked a couple guys in the first, survived that inning. In the 2nd inning, a Sal Bando double. A 2-out single by Joe Floyd with a few more walks in there, but it's just 1 zip. Oakland strands a bunch. Bottom of the 2nd inning, after a Leroy Stanton double with 2 outs, Etchebarren hits a 2-run homer. And again, another head-scratching moment. Baltimore has a 2-1 lead, yet Oakland's put more men on base. The Orioles, let me just state this now. The Orioles are not in the league of Oakland's offense. There is a little bit of a drop-off between the clubs. The pitching is impeccable for both teams. You have to think Oakland's probably a favorite, but Baltimore just seems to be play championship baseball year after year after year when it's playoff time. So it's 2-1 game, bottom of the 3rd. Buford singles, and then Brooks Robinson says, I'm going to do a hit and run. And what's he do? He hits a hit and run single for Brooks Robinson. He'll get a bunch of these. And then Bobby Grits goes, I'll take the sac fly, and it's 3-1 Baltimore. They manufacture a run. In the 5th inning, Boog Powell, solo shot off of Kenny Holtzman. It is 4-1. But the A's come back against, like I said, Cuellar doesn't have command. Dick Green got a homer in the 4th. In the 6th inning, you got walk, walk, out, walk, sac fly, single, bases loaded, walk, out. So after all that commotion, the A's have tied this game 4-4 after 6. Now, Cuellar has put 15 men on in 6 innings, so they take him out. Baltimore decides to get offseason acquisition Joe Horlen, former White Sox pitcher, who's actually pretty good. Some work here. I think Joe Horlen actually gets a 72 World Series ring for Oakland. He comes on in as the A's have this dominant right-handed hitting lineup, and he does well. A hit and a walk and a K in 2 frames. Baltimore could do nothing with Ken Holtzman. If you're wondering, the best of the 3 pitchers 1 loss this year is Ken Holtzman. He's outpitched Catfish Hunter and Vita Blue in a bizarre twist. So this is 4-4 into the 9th. Now, Horlen's left in there. Gives up a leadoff double to Reggie. So then they pull him finally for Grant Jackson. Maybe 1 batter too late. You probably wanted the lefty Grant Jackson to face Reggie, but funny thing is, Grant Jackson's worse against lefties, and Reggie Jackson is better against lefties. So that's why that move was postponed. Doesn't matter. Joe Rudy hits the first pitch for a single, scoring Reggie 5-4. So Raleigh Fingers comes on in. Now, they pulled Holtzman after 8 innings, 8 hits and 4 runs, but Fingers has started terribly this year, but now he's come on as a closer. 3 up and 3 down. Baltimore's putrid bottom 3 hitters could be their demise. Leroy Stanton, Andy Etchebarren, Bobby Wine. Oakland wins game 2, 5-4. So now we go across country. Oakland Alameda County Stadium. Game 3, Dave McNally, Vita Blue. We finally get to see Vita. He pitched game 5 in the wild card round. And by the way, if the A's would have simply gotten a bye, they would not have to have played in a wild card round, and Vita Blue could have pitched in games 1 or 2. But that's a story for another time, I guess. This classic baseball. Bottom of the 1st, 3 singles off of McNally. Single dot, single dot, single dot. Bases loaded, nobody out. Pitcher X, Reggie hits into a 1-6-3 double play. That'll score a run, no RBI given, and then McNally gets out of it. Big moment for Dave McNally. That could have been disaster, but it's not. Then in the top of the second inning, Paul Blair leads off a single. So what does Brooks Robinson do? Hits and runs. Gets another hit and run single. They've executed it twice now. On the corners, the ground ball scores the run. It's a 1-1 tie. Then Vida Blue and McNally settle in. We get to the 8th inning. Bobby Gritch strikes out. Powell flies out. Paul Blair gets a single. He steals second base because Tennis has a 0 arm. And it's Brooks Robinson. This is a clean single off the Vida Blue card on the double one chance that Blue has. Double 1 to 4 single dot dot. Clean single scoring the run. 2-1 Baltimore. McNally is pulled after 7 because you got this right-handed heavy lineup, and also Bob Reynolds. I mentioned Joe Horlin. Bob Reynolds dominates righties. So in the 8th inning, a strikeout, an out. Campaneris walks, steals second base, but Orlando Cepeda cannot come through. In the 9th inning, Bob Reynolds walks the leadoff man, Reggie. So after that walk, Grant Jackson comes in. He gets the first 2 batters out. Reggie steals second. And so by Reggie stealing second base, they actually intentionally walk Angel Mangual, putting the winning run at first base because they want to face Gene Tennis instead of Angel Mangual, because Tennis walks. Mangual hits about 350 against lefties. Well, Tennis does what Tennis does. He walks. Bases loaded, 2 outs. And it is the lefty, Mike Hegan, who hits lefties very well, but Grant Jackson strikes him out to end this game. And Baltimore nips the A's 2-1. And, you know, if you're Oakland, you got to be scratching your head, because for 3 games in a row, you put more men on than Baltimore. Actually, in this one, Baltimore put 9 men on. The A's put 10. But again, all the walks, McNally only walked 1 guy. The Baltimore bullpen walked 4. But McNally beats Vida Blue, and McNally's having a big year. He's like 6-1. Vida Blue, we talked about his struggles earlier this year with that MVP card. It's very strange. So we got Game 4. Game 4, the oddball game. Number 4 starters in Game 4. Game 4 starters, Milt Pappas and Lynn McLaughlin. The oddball game. Expecting a high-scoring affair. But Lynn McLaughlin, if you watch the Toronto series, the A's were facing elimination against Toronto. Lynn McLaughlin, they go up to Toronto, and McLaughlin gets a road win to save Oakland's season before coming back to Oakland and Vida Blue winning Game 5. In this one, Baltimore gets 2 walks to start the game, and that's it. 2 walks in the second inning, then a double play. Lynn McLaughlin puts guys on, gets out of these innings over and over and over again. Lynn McLaughlin, 6 innings, 4 hits, just 1 run, 4 walks, 6 Ks. Meanwhile, Milt Pappas is just having an ordinary kind of day. Sac fly by Rudy in the first. Actually, Rudy got hurt. It was a sac fly plus injury, so Rudy gets hurt. So they lose their Gold Glove left fielder. Claudell Washington has to play left, Foy in center. Mangual in center. Doesn't matter. Mangual had a nice day, got a hit, and Claudell Washington went 2 for 3 plus a walk. An error by Bobby Gritch of the Orioles, and the A's get a run there. The A's get more runs in the 4th and 7th inning, and in like a great tennis match, the A's, Baltimore wins Game 1, Oakland wins Game 2. Baltimore wins Game 3, Oakland wins Game 4. Lynn McLaughlin beats Milt Pappas. And again, the A's, they put 18 men on base. Baltimore put 11 on. So the series is tied 2-2, but you get the feeling the A's are waiting for that moment to lean in to the dominance that they should have on these Strat-O-Matic cards. They seem to be a better team on paper. Can they lean into the dominance on Game 5, which will be back in Baltimore as we play the 2-2-1-1-1 format, and it's a repeat of Game 1. It's Catfish Hunter against Jim Palmer. A little bit different story here. Campanera singles and immediately steals a base off of Earl Williams' arm and scores on a Joe Rudy sac fly. And for the first time in the series, Oakland seems to have a slight edge. They finally tied the series up and have a lead. Fourth inning, it is Gene Tennis with a solo shot, and Baltimore's offense is starting to get a little stale here, and we're thinking this is that moment where Oakland is going to assert themselves. But in the bottom of the sixth, Catfish Hunter, this is the troubled inning he had in Game 1. Number 9 hitter, Frank Duffy, who had a triple-double in Game 1, gets a double in the third inning, and then he walks in the sixth inning on his card, and then Don Buford homers on his own card on a dice roll of 3-6, and here we are again. Baltimore comes out of nowhere to tie this game 2-2. The Orioles get 2 more singles, but Earl Williams hits into a double play and they don't do any more damage. It's still 2-2, and Oakland is starting to feel the frustration of not being able to pull away against Baltimore. The series is tied 2 games apiece. The game is tied 2-2, Game 5. Oakland gets a walk in the 7th inning off of Jim Palmer, who walked 6 guys in this game. None of the walks scored. Palmer walked 2 guys in the 8th. They don't score. So let's go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Once again, number 9 hitter, Frank Duffy, not even a member of Baltimore's team. Only on here because it's a carryover league and cards get traded and so forth. Ground ball short X, Burke Campaneris. Oh my goodness, not again. We talked about his struggles in the World Series a year ago against the Cincinnati Reds. It is a 2-base error. He rolled the snake eye result and got the 2-base error, so instead of being a guy at first, there's a guy at second. Buford immediately gets a single, ... and that scores Duffy. Baltimore takes a 3-2 lead. Brooks Robinson says, hey, let me try another one of these hit and runs. And it works again. So now you got runners on the corners. You're almost at the Catfish Hunter point of weakness. Because you got a 2-base error, single. You need another hit to get Catfish Hunter's point of weakness. But with runners in the corners and nobody out, you got Al Bumbry, a 337 hitter, the best hitter on either squad. Believe it or not, Baltimore can boast Al Bumbry, highest batting average, versus Oakland's best batting average is Mike Hegan, 329, and then Reggie's 293. So with the lefty Bumbry up, they go to Dave Hamilton, and then Baltimore goes to the bench and gets Leroy Stanton, a guy that Baltimore unfortunately acquired from the California Angels in exchange for Don Baylor. That was a huge blunder by the front office. Doesn't matter. Leroy Stanton, 3-run homer, and suddenly it is 6-2 Baltimore, to the astonishment of Oakland. And Jim Palmer's just sitting in the dugout watching this. He goes back out for the 9th inning, walks one more batter, gets the complete game. Baltimore gets the 6-2 win at home in Game 5, forcing Game 6 in Oakland. They're up 3-2. Oh boy, folks, and this is where we're at. Game number 6 in Oakland. And we're back to the same starters we had on 3 days to rest. Dave McNally got the call over Cuellar, because he's pitching better than Cuellar this year. And it's Vida Blue. This is almost too much to believe here. After Buford gets out, Al Bumbry gets a walk off of the Vida Blue card, because Bumbry's in the game as a lefty, because Vida Blue's worse against lefties. Gritch gets a double off the Vida Blue card, and then Boog Powell, 4-4 against the lefty, gets the 3-run homer off the Vida Blue card. Vida Blue card, Vida Blue card, Vida Blue card, 3 runs. At this moment, we're thinking, okay, this is a championship Oakland A moment. You get adversity. We saw this with Atlanta. They were down 5-0 in their game, and they came back and tied it up. And I'm thinking, okay, Baltimore gets a 3-0 lead. They're going to blow this. Oakland's going to come back and win this game. And that's where we're at today. Let's take it into the 2nd inning. Stanton singles. a ground out, and a K. Leroy Stanton's at second base. Don Buford, single one, line out the rest, gets the single, and then Bumbry gets the single, and it's 4-0. And now I'm starting to think, maybe Baltimore just has the horseshoe, the hugest horseshoe we've seen, and they're going to actually run away with this thing. Not so fast. After 2 outs in the second, Sal Bando doubles, Angel Mangual doubles, it's 4-1. Then in the third inning, the good defensive shortstop Bobby Wine's playing. He's a 2-14, doesn't matter. Joe Foy reaches on an error. Campaneris double, Orlando Cepeda sac fly. We got a 4-2 game, and I'm thinking, here come those A's. They're going to come back, like I said. Then the fifth inning happens. Vida Blue and the Oakland team. After Bumbry flies out, Bobby Grich singles. Boog Powell gets a walk on his own card. Paul Blair on his own card. Homer 1-0, double the rest, has to settle for the double. And then Brooks Robinson. He doesn't have power against left-handed pitchers in 1971. But on the dice roll of 210, it's Homer 1-13, double the rest. And that is a Brooks Robinson 3-run homer. And what was a 4-2 game is now 8-2. In the bottom of the sixth inning, the A's got a single and error on McNally, but then Gene Tennis, who has drawn walks in all 6 games, instead of a walk there, he hits into a double play, taking a runner off the bases. Dick Green does walk, but then Joe Foy gets out, and that is where we are at in Game 6. It has been a nightmare scenario where Baltimore has suddenly emerged very, very late in Game 5 and now Game 6 to have a decided advantage for the first time. 8-2 Baltimore. Vida Blue is still in there based on his reputation, though he probably should have been yanked for ineffectiveness and point of weakness. He's put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. He's put 14 men on in 6 innings. I just don't feel like I want to take the American League most valuable player out of the game in an elimination game and what would be the final start for the 1971 Vida Blue card that won 24 games. So that is where we are at, folks. Had to give you all of that because this is just crazy fun baseball between the 2 best teams in the American League, Baltimore and Oakland. We're going to pick this thing up in the 7th inning. And who else but Brooks Robinson will lead off? 1-5, Brooksy, that's a single. Leroy Stanton. 36 is a K. Andy Etchebarren. 36 is a K. And with 2 outs, it's Bobby Wine, who's actually 1 for 3 today. 65 off of Blue, flies to right field. Stretch time here in the Coliseum. There's a weird buzz going around. They think their team can rally, but it's a huge deficit, 6-run deficit to save their season. Oakland has saved their season countless times at this point. You cannot bury these guys. And they got 9 outs to get. We've been listening to Shuggy Otis's Inspiration Information LP. Inspiration Information, Out of My Head, Island Letter. Great stuff by Shuggy Otis. Back to the game. McNally will continue in this with a 6-run lead. Baltimore's got a fantastic bullpen. Grant Jackson, Bob Reynolds, Bill Wilson, a righty gets lefties out, and Joe Horland, a righty who gets righties out. But they're going to roll with McNally, a starter 7, against Bert Campaneris, who's 2 for 3. 1-9 for Campaneris, bounces to short. Orlando Cepeda, incredibly quiet this series. He crushes left-handed pitching. 1-6. It's a single chance. It's single 1-9, and he gets it on an 8. Good for him. And now it's Reggie. We showed you his card in the first game. Reggie's, needs to get on here. 68 off McNally is a pop to third. And with 2 outs, it's Joe Rudy. 47 off McNally is second X, but it's Bobby Grich. Has had his problems with errors. A 1E20 second baseman here with 2 outs, and he makes the play. 7 in the books. McNally, I don't know if he's going to come out for the 8th or not. Vita Blue is going out there for the 8th. It's Don Buford. 57's a K. Al Bumbry. 47 off the blue card. Double 1 of 7 is a single. A Steeler. He's taken off. And he's out stealing off tennis. Well, you're up 6 runs. You could do fun stuff like that. And with 2 outs, it's Bobby Grich. 5-11, second X. This is Dick Green. 2E12 makes the play. Probably would have been a double play. Bottom of the 8th. Now you got Bando Mangual, tennis, green, and I think you just got to manage this in a championship moment. McNally's going to be gone. All the hitters are better against lefties. Mangual, tennis, green. Excuse me, starting with Bando. Bando, Mangual, tennis, and green. You have to manage this with the righty-lefty-righty, so you could go Horlin or Bob Reynolds here. I think with a 6-run lead, I'm going to go Horlin. If the kid has problems, I say kid though, I think he's like literally in his last year of his career. He's an older pitcher. In the 8th inning, Joe Horlin will face Sal Bando. 65 is a sky to right field. We should show you the card for Horlin. It's a really good card. He was an Oakland A in 1972. Would have gotten a World Series ring in that bullpen with Bob Locker and Paul Lindblad and Raleigh Fingers. 3-4 with a 3 ERA in 84 innings, and he's helping Baltimore get to the league championship. Angel Mangual, and the temptation to pinch hit for this guy is great. Let's see if I can't get a lefty in here now. When would I get a lefty in there? I guess, yeah, we're going to go Claudell Washington. The left-handed bat gets on more than Mangual. Pitch to Claudell Washington. 34, didn't matter, grounds to first. And with 2 outs, it's Gene Tennis. We need one of those walks for the Oakland A's. Gene Tennis. 66 is a fly ball to left field. Joel Horlin. A 3-up and 3-down 8th inning against the Dynasty A's, who are down 6 in Game 6 to Baltimore. And in the 9th inning, he's not coming out. He's not coming back out to the mound. He is going to stay in the dugout with a towel on his head, Vita Blue. He sees the writing on the wall, and they're going to turn it over to another fantastic pitcher. Raleigh Fingers will come on in the 9th inning. You could say, why did you not yank Vita Blue in the 5th? It's because he's Vita Blue. So Raleigh Fingers comes on in the 9th. Down 8-2, facing Boog Powell. 210, flies to center. Paul Blair, 67, is a K. And with 2 outs, it's Brooks Robinson. 1-6, he's not done. He's probably the MVP of the divisional series that they awarded such a silly thing. 1-6 for Brooksy is a base hit. And Leroy Stanton. 2-7 is single, 1 of 19, gets it. 2 on 2 outs for Echebarren. 35's a K. Bottom of the 9th. Dick Green, Joe Foy, and Campaneris. Oh, for Pete's sakes, Dick Green doesn't encourage a pitching change. We'll let Horlin pitch to him. 57's a K. Nothing you can do with that. Back up top, you got Foy. I think it's time to go get your best left-handed hitter in here sooner or later, which is Mike Hegan. That'll chase Horlin after an inning and a 3rd. And I'm going to go Billy Wilson in the 9th. Let's take a look at Billy Wilson. You'll see why. He was a Philly. He was a toss-in the Pat Dobson for Grant Jackson trade. They wanted Bill Wilson as well as a righty who gets lefties out. Smart move for the Orioles here. Bill Wilson does not allow a hit to left-handed batters. He will face Mike Hegan, the pinch hitter, with 1 out in the 9th inning. The pitch to Mike Hegan. 4-4 off Bill Wilson. That's the catcher's X. The 4-4 card, but 4-4 is an out because he doesn't allow any hits to lefties. Catcher is Echebarren, who's a 3-13 catcher. That's a reasonably high chance for an error. But he does not make the error. And it's down to this, folks. It is down to this. The writing is on the wall. The dynasty does not look like it's ready. It's Bert Campaneris against Bill Wilson. 1-8, Bert Campaneris grounds to shortstop. The A's' last 8 runners do not reach. Probably the best pitched game by a combo of pitchers for Baltimore in the whole series when Palmer wasn't pitching. It is 8-2. The Orioles advance to the League Championship Series against the Detroit Tigers. And the Oakland A dynasty, they'll have to wait till next year. Again, this is the 71-74 carryover league. I've been saying for a long time, though, that in 1971, when the Oakland A's, they did not go to the World Series, that a lot of their players had their best years in 71. Matter of fact, in 72, Reggie had a down year, Sal Bando had a down year, and Gene Tennis had a down year. Vida Blue didn't even pitch 200 innings. Yet they somehow won the World Series. The best players in 72, by the way, for that Oakland team was Catfish Hunter and Joe Rudy. So that can happen next year. But not this year, folks. Baltimore outlasts Oakland 4-2 in the divisional round. None of the divisional round games went 7. All of them went 6. And only one of the road teams advanced. That's Philadelphia. So Fingers give up 2 hits and 2 Ks in the 9th. Vida Blue, yeah, that's his loss. 13 hits and 8 runs off of Vida Blue by a Baltimore team that is not very special at all against left-handed pitching. They really aren't. Yeah, but they figured out Vida Blue. That's all that matters, I guess. All those 8 runs are earned. He walked 3, he struck out 8. Billy Wilson got the final 2 outs. Joe Horland struck out a batter. All 6, the last 6 outs recorded by Joe Horland and Bill Wilson. 2 guys who didn't even pitch for Baltimore. If you're wondering about that, it's because people, the other baseball teams, steal Baltimore's pitchers. Mickey Scott was taken away by the Cubs, I believe. Doyle Alexander and Rorik Harrison were taken away by the Toronto Blue Jays. So that's where, and Don Hood was taken away by the Cubs. So that's where a lot of Baltimore's other pitchers are. McNally beats Vida Blue twice. Wow. That is just wow, folks. 7 hits, 2 runs, 1 was earned, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, 1-009, 0-109, 8-15, 2-7, 3-10, 3-4, 3-10, 3-4. Yeah. The first of the convincing wins for the Orioles. Well, I guess game 1 was pretty convincing. And we'll take a look at the series wrap here. Baltimore wins this thing 4-2. I am surprised. I really am. I was feeling that Oakland would figure this thing out. They just have the 20 best Strat-O-Matic cards are with Oakland, not with Baltimore. But it doesn't matter. It's how they play in a 6 best-of-7 series. Oakland's season is over. They finished 29-22. The A's hit 272. If you told me Oakland was going to hit 272 with a hideous on-base percentage, I would tell you they're going to the World Series. Their ERA is 3.48. That's a little high, you know. And Vida Blue, the 1971 American League Most Valuable Player, 7 wins, 8 losses, 8 complete games, 51 times 9 divided by 127, a 3.61 ERA, and his card has got a 1.82 ERA on it. Catfish Hunter, 7-7. Last year, Blue and Hunter at one point were both 8-1. This year, they combined to go 14-15. And if you're wondering, it is Kenny Holtzman, 8-1. Holtzman struggled in the first year when he got to Oakland a year ago. This year, he's fantastic, 8-1, carrying the A's with a 191 earned run average. Wow. Reggie, 11 homer, 36 RBI, 66 hits. I think he led all of baseball. Reggie at 324, outperforming his card. Reggie stole 16 bases. Campaneris just beat him with 17, but it was close. Gene Tennis walked 39 times. 35 hits and 39 walks for Tennis. But let's go up top to Baltimore. 28 and 15. Baltimore. They're hitting 260, which is the best they've hit in a while. They hit 230 a year ago. Team ERA 247. Here's another thing you might want to look at on Baseball Reference, folks. Baltimore lost the American League East in 1972 to the Detroit Tigers. However, Baltimore's pitching was better in 72 than it was in 69, 70, or 71. Mostly because the Baltimore offense was fantastic in those World Series years. 72 Baltimore offense stunk up the joint. They were horrible. They could not hit a bull in the you-know-what with a shovel. That's how bad the Orioles hitting was in 72. So all of Baltimore's pitchers in the year of 72 had ERAs below 3, including Doyle Alexander and Rorik Harrison, two guys the Orioles couldn't keep, ended up on the Toronto Blue Jays. Dave McNally, 8-1. Maybe we should have had McNally and Kenny Holtzman face each other in this series. Dave McNally sometimes gets forgotten on those championship Orioles squads. Dave McNally pitched to a 215 earned run average. 26 and 15, 29 and 22. Let's look at the overall standings. There's Baltimore. There's Detroit. Basically the Tigers are a game and a half better. They got home field. It'll be Orioles at Tigers in the League Championship Series. 26-15, 29-22. We'll plug in the final result here. In the divisional. It's Detroit won 4-2 here. And Baltimore won 4-2 here. All 4-2 results. Orioles 11 over 500. This is actually the White Sox at 25 and 21. This is Oakland at 29 and 22. A little bit of bookkeeping here. And here we can put in Baltimore and 11 over 500. And that should make this read 0. And it does. There it is. All right, so the bookkeeping worked out. That's supposed to be 0. So here we are in the League Championship Series. These are games over 500. We talked about the American League in head-to-head play, dominated the National League. They were 15 over 500. And when it comes to the League Championship round, you've got 25 over 500 versus 16. So, it's kind of a mirror of that. These were the results a year ago. The Reds swept the Mets to go 31 and 12, and the Mets finished 27 and 16. And Oakland beat the White Sox in the League Championship a year ago to go 31 and 17, 33 and 26. And that entire crew is gone. Reds were knocked out a long time ago, and the Mets were with losing records. White Sox lost in the divisional round to the Tigers, to a number 1 seed, and Oakland lost to the number 2 seed. So these are good teams a year ago and are still good. So here's your final 4 right here. Baltimore number 2 at Detroit number 1, Philadelphia number 5 at Pittsburgh number 3. It looks like an East Coast World Series of some configuration. That's it for this divisional round. Break up the Baltimore Orioles trying to get to the 1971 World Series. Will it beat Baltimore and Pittsburgh? That's what it was in 71. There's a chance it can happen, a pretty decent one. Thanks for checking this out. We'll see you next time.